But we'll start the same way. We create a new component and we call it S-curve. And the values I choose here is just random, how long it is and how much side displacement, so you can choose whatever you need for your project. So we do the same as before. We copy the joiner, we paste it, click OK, and we paste a new one. And now you see I accidentally clicked OK and I forgot to rotate it, so let's do that now. And as before, we need to set the pivot point to the center. Click OK, and we will rotate it 180 degrees. Now it's time to choose where we want the track to end. So click the second joiner, and as before, click M or right click and choose move. And I suggest you do this first by dragging length, and in this case I will choose a length of 200 millimeter. And this, you should think about your build plate in your printer. How big can you make the track parts and still print them? So that's really what governs how long the track pieces are. So that's at least a good rule, because it's a lot harder to make long track pieces and try to divide them in the CAD software and print them and glue them together. And that's not really a good idea, because these joiners work a lot better than gluing. So try to divide them into pieces that you can print. So now we have this straight displacement. So now we will make the sideways displacement. And in this case, I will move it out by, yeah, let's say 50 millimeter. That will be okay. And now that's up to you how you want to do it. I'll just show you the method here. So now we will do as before. We will select only the track, and we do that as the first case when we made a straight piece. We click on any of these surfaces and we create a sketch. Now we don't really have to hide the other one because they are moved sideways, so it's not in the way anyway. Click P for project. Project both of them. You should be able to select both of them at the same time. I don't know why it doesn't work now. Press L for line. And there we have it. You can also, if you accidentally place the line somewhere else, you can see that because then you cannot choose just the track. So when you hold the mouse over, if you can select only the track or only the sleeper part, that means that your line was placed correctly. Otherwise, if there's a trouble, I can show you what happens if I were to accidentally put it here. So it doesn't really go all the way, but when we zoom out, that can be quite hard to detect. You can see it's white, so that there are things that can tell us that there's something wrong, but it can be hard to see when you have complex sketches. But the really easy way to see it is that now we cannot select only the track as we can on this one. So that tells you that the line is not correct. So then you can either delete the line and make a new one, or you can just pull it to the point where you want to connect it. Now it's all connected, and you can choose either the sleeper part or the track part. So now we cannot use the extrude tool, and we cannot use the revolve tool either. Now we're gonna make a sweep along a path, and the path, we create that in a sketch. So that's basically what our track is going to follow. So we will basically make the shape of the S-curve. So let's click the horizontal plane, and if these are not visible, that means your origin up here is not selected, like this. So you can click the visibility of the origin, and that makes these planes visible. And I think if you click the sketch tool, yeah, that will make the planes visible anyway, so it doesn't matter if you have it clicked or not. So click on the horizontal plane, and there are of course different methods to sketch this, but I will make fit point spline. And now it's really important to choose where you start the sketch. You should start in the middle and also parallel to the end of the joiners. That's really important because that's where we're going to start to extrude the track. So click there, and then we can zoom in on the other joiner and make sure that we place this point in the perfect center and also parallel to the end here. There. And now we actually forgot something. We need to put a point in the middle. And I think you can do that by right-clicking, insert spline fit point. Yes, you could do that. So click and then place a point. So there it is. So you can usually fix things if you forget. Otherwise, you can just mark it, press delete, and you can make a new one. So now this is a straight line. That doesn't really look that good. So we need to make the shape. By clicking any of these points, you can manipulate them. So what we will do, we will drag this handle here. And the further away from the center point, you can see that it affects the radius from that point. I will leave it quite close here because I don't want the radius of the track to be too narrow, because that will make it hard for the train to go through here. Now this looks really well, I think. So we don't really need to do anything to this point, because that will just make the track look really weird. If you accidentally pull something, you can always press Ctrl Z, or you can place you can press the back arrow up in the menu. But this looks really good, I think. So let's sweep the track along this path that we created. Now this sketch should be visible after you press finish, but if you do something else, so if you click on something and the sketch is not visible, you can just expand the tree, and under sketches you have the sketches, and now we want both sketches that we made to be visible. So what we'll do now is we click create, and we will do a sweep. And first we need to choose the profiles. So we choose our track, and then we need to choose our path. And as you can see, it almost does it perfect right away. And that really depends on where you put these points on the path. If you didn't place them correctly, this will not align. But that's okay. You can go back and you can edit the sketch. That's no problem. So let's click OK. And now you can see that when we did that, and we had join selected here. Well, Fusion automatically did that because it thought we wanted to join. So that was okay. We wanted to do that because that joined our joiners and the track. So that also means that our component worked. And as a change from the curved track piece we did, now it's okay that we had a short piece that is straight. That doesn't matter because this one is so long anyway. And a neat thing with the path is that you can actually go back and you can edit the path afterward. So just click on the sketch in the history. You can click on a point, and let's make it really crazy here and see what happens. Yeah, that track would be kind of hard for the train to go through. And you can click the back arrow like that, or you can click Ctrl Z. So now we have the track finished. Now we want to add the sleepers, and we can actually use the same path to place the sleepers. So let's copy the sleeper body. And you can see that it's really important here that I copy the body. I do not copy the whole component. That's because I want to combine them later. So copy the body and go ahead and hide that one so it's not messing with us. Right click on bodies and click paste, and you can click OK. Now we're gonna make a pattern on path with this one. So mark the sleeper, and actually before that you can click the visibility of the sketch that contains our path so that it's visible. Again, mark the sleeper, click create, click pattern, and pattern on path. And you can see that we have body selected. We have one already selected, that's fine. And so we click on path, and we click on the path that we made earlier. Now Fusion wants to know how far we want this to go. And also you can see that the shape is really weird. And we will go ahead and fix that. Now the path is a little bit longer than just the actual sketch. So again, I'm just placing this, I'm just eyeballing this. You can of course measure, and you can do it with precision. I don't see really the need to. So now to fix this, that it looks really weird, we can click the orientation drop down, and we can choose path direction. That will actually fix this problem. And now we can also go ahead and choose how many we want. So let's try 10 of them and see how it looks. That looks kind of good, I think. Yeah, let's use that. Yeah, that looks good. Let's use that. And as we did before, I will mark the first and the last one. Now I will remove them. Now, some of you might wonder why I do that. I think it's easier to do like that right from what I know about the tools right now, because when I do that I can see where the first one starts and the last one ends. So by doing that, it's really easy for me to see where it starts and where it ends. So it's just a matter of how you prefer to do things. There's probably a good way to do it without having to remove the first and last one, but I do that for now because this is just eyeballing. This is a decorative piece, really. And also make sure it's not, of course, it's not just decorative when it comes to printing, because we cannot print the track just in thin air. So that's also a matter of placement, that you want enough sleepers so that your printer can bridge the gap. With a track like this, you don't need to choose support. This can be printed as it is. You could have some strings going on the inside of the curve when the printer is doing this line. That will probably be a straight line first when the printer tries to bridge this gap. But I don't really care about that, because that might be just a couple of strings here that you can just sand off, or you can remove with a knife. But as soon as the printer goes up a couple of layers, the track will be just fine. So that's not really something to bother with. It's not like it's gonna break your print or anything. As long as you have good bed adhesion, so that the sleepers stay connected to the bed, then it will print just fine.